What's up, YouTube fans? Today we're going to take a look at the Zeta Toys Crystal Superitron, their version of a translucent Superion. So this is not the first version of this. This is actually, I believe, the third version. The original was just regular plastic with some paint highlights. The second one was a metallic version, painted up to be kind of shinier metallic metal. Then we got this translucent version. So because of that, we're not going to do transformations in this video. I will show you how to combine them once we get them into their combined modes for each of the limbs, but we're not going to actually go through transformation for each of these guys individually. But we are going to go through each of their bot modes and jet modes. So we'll start off with the two arms, and then we'll get to the two leg pieces, and then we'll get to the torso, and then we'll work our way through showing you how to combine them, and finally we'll take a look at Superion. All right, first up we have Fire and Catapult. So these are the two bots that make up the arms for their Superitron figure. And we'll take a look at them each individually. They are very similar in terms of the overall sculpt, the overall articulation. So we'll show the articulation on one, and then we'll kind of just show off the look of the other. So he does have a little bit of paint on him. You got that silver on the face with the blue eyes. It is a little bit of a silly face. It's not the best face sculpt there. You have a little paint here on the gun, that little blue. Everything is pretty much translucent on him. Silver paint here in the back. Looks like translucent blue. I don't know if that's paint or translucent blue plastic. A little bit of silver and yellow here in the knee. And then some silver paint here. We'll see a little bit more in the vehicle mode, but obviously some paint on the wings here. Here's the back. Now this one does have a little issue where this slider here, so this is supposed to slide up and down, and so that you can attach this rear tail fin, and it's supposed to fit underneath here. Unfortunately, this slider is pretty much locked in place. It's very hard to move, and because it's on translucent plastic, I didn't want to push it or try. I put a lot of energy into this and I couldn't get it moving, so I figured better not to break it, and don't really need it anyways. So we'll see how that looks in the vehicle mode, if it fits properly, but here in the robot mode, it's not really necessary, so I didn't push it. But there's the back. Overall, pretty good looking figure, other than the face sculpt. I don't think that looks so great. The red translucent plastic is a little strange for me. I like the smoked gray plastic a lot better, but this plastic just kind of stands out to me, and it just kind of looks a little weird. It doesn't have the same fun effect as this one. Let's go over articulation. The head is on a ball joint, so you get up to there, down to there, rotates all the way around. The arm is on this folding joint, so you can fold it out to there, and then rotates all the way around and get it up to there. You have a rotation at the bicep. You do have a double jointed elbow, but you can't really utilize this. You can either get it 90 degrees there or 90 degrees there, but you can't get both bent. So I'm guessing that's more for transformation, but it does have a double jointed elbow that you can't utilize. Rotation at the wrist. You do have individually articulated fingers. They're pinned at the base, but they're not pinned up here. And actually, I just didn't mean to do that, but the fingers come off because of that. They're friction fit onto this joint. And so they tend to kind of pop off. They don't feel so great. And then the thumb is on a ball. Oh my gosh, that popped off too. So both the thumb and the fingers tend to pop off. So you just got to be careful not to lose these pieces because they pop off very easily. So when you're transforming it, you just want to, keep an eye on that stuff. Moving downwards, you have a rotation at the waist. The hip skirts will lift up, although it looks like they might collide. No, okay. So you can lift it up. Yep, it does. It does. It does kind of just go up to there. So I guess it collides with this, but you can get it up to there, back to there, out to the side on a soft ratchet. Pretty good ratchet, actually. Rotation at the thigh. Some people might enjoy this translucent so you can see the hardware underneath. I personally not a huge translucent fan, but that might be the attraction of this is seeing the inner workings. You get a 90-degree bend on a nice ratchet there on the knee. You have a toe tilt here and a pivot forward, but not really anything back. somewhat limited toe and no articulation on the heel, so you can only go so wide on these before it starts to kind of not support itself. And also, yeah, these wings can be removed. If you don't want it, you can just take them off. That's what it looks like without the wing. But it is intended to have the wing in the robot mode. Now, for the combined mode, you could, if you didn't like the wings on there, you wanted a cleaner look, you can take those off. We'll talk about that when we get there. So for Catapult, basically the same articulation. He does have a very different head, and I don't really enjoy this head. So one of the issues is on the original, they painted the top of his cap gray and his face orange, which makes sense. But here they painted the whole thing orange, so it makes him look bald. It's just an odd choice. I'm not sure why they did that. He does have some other paint accents, gold here, some silver here and there, some tampo detail, which we'll see more. All right, here we have Firefly and Catapult in their jet modes. And I'll start off by saying pretty much every single robot and jet has a QC issue. And that's unfortunate. You know, in the robot modes, it wasn't so bad. But now that we're here in the jet modes, they all have very obvious QC issues. I'm going to go over each of them individually. But unfortunately, that's going to put a negative spin on at least this part of the review. Hopefully, they're better in the combined mode. But let me start with Firefly here. Looks pretty good at first glance. You know, it's got some nice paint details here. The cockpit does open up here, although a little bit awkwardly. But it does open up, and there's a little seat in there. I already knocked this off, so I'll just show you that. You can attach these missiles to any of the 4 ports on the wings, but they're pretty fiddly, and I just wanted to show they do fit on there, but I'm going to take that off for now. You can also take his gun, and it can attach to any one of the 4 ports. So you end up with enough ports to attach both the gun and 2 sets of missiles. They each come with 2 sets of missiles, and these 2 have the same set, and that's what it looks like. It's painted on the tip, and then the rest is just that translucent plastic. And then we'll get the gun out of here. You do have these landing gear that fold in and out of the wings, and then also from the front here, which is fine. But if you haven't spotted it yet, here's the QC issue. So this tail fin is supposed to slide back and forth. Unfortunately, I think I mentioned this in the robot mode, it doesn't slide forward. So it ends up looking a little off because it's supposed to be, you know, inwards, right? This is supposed to be bumped up against this, and this should be up to here. It's okay like this, but this piece literally will not move. It won't budge, and I'm not about to break it since it's not mine. But that's the QC issue with this one. It has to do with that joint there. Other than that, this one's pretty good looking, and it does work overall. The wings don't tab in as securely as like either. I don't know if that's a QC issue, but maybe just a fitment issue. And then here we go with Catapult. So he's a Harrier jet. So first off, the gun again does fit in here, but it's a little bit loose on this one. So we'll just set that aside. And if you haven't noticed it yet, one of the wings is upside down. And you would say, TM Reviews, you installed this upside down. No, I didn't. The issue is they gave us 2 right wings. So these are identical. I don't know why, but they didn't give us a left wing. So, you know, normally you would install it this way because that's the painted side. But just to have it actually transformed, I did it upside down. So obviously it's upside down because the landing gear is not supposed to fold up like that. It's supposed to fold down like that. That's one QC issue, is I don't have a left wing. The other problem is this won't fit together. You can see there's a gap here, and it's because these tabs will not fit. They're supposed to fit inside this little bar, and they don't fit. And so that causes him to kind of come apart, and these tabs just won't fit properly. Things just won't fit together. This is probably the one with the most QC issues out of all of them. You know, having just a completely wrong part is a problem. Otherwise, it would look really nice. I do like the paint they put on there. It's a little bit thin right here. But overall, it does look like a nice jet. I just wish it didn't have so many QC issues. You can open up this cockpit, although it's a little bit odd the way it opens up. You can't open that up. And it's painted there. So that's it for these 2. let's move on to the next two. So here are the two leg bots, and again, very similar molds on these two. Obviously some differences on the cockpit on the back here, but pretty much the same arms and legs and overall mold. So let's take a look at one of these in articulation, and then we'll take a look at the just overall look of the other one. So here's the face sculpt on this guy, and let's see, I forget their third-party names. They call him Airstrike, and he looks pretty good. He's got some silver paint here, some accents. The guns do tend to be hard to hold. Sometimes these fingers just don't, they're not the best at holding. Here's the gun. It does have a little blue accent there. That looks good. Here's the silver paint here. You got some red and gold in here, and then again some tampo detail. We'll see more of this wing detail in the jet mode, but overall pretty nice looking. I like the smoked plastic look overall. He does have a pretty good articulation. The head is on a ball joint, but the neck also articulates, so you can get down to there, up to there, rotates all the way around, and then the head itself can go side to side. Actually, probably all of them can do that if I didn't mention that before. The shoulders rotate on this extremely tight joint here. All the joints on these guys seem to be very, very tight. 90-degree bend at the elbow, gets you up to there. Rotation at the bicep. Rotation at the wrist, you've got this little panel here sticking out, which I imagine is meant for transformation, but it is a little irritating, and I'm pretty sure that's not cartoon accurate. Rotation at the wrist, and then exactly the same hands as we saw before on the arm bots. I'm not going to spend too much time on that, but they are a little bit fiddly. Rotation at the waist, gets you all the way around. Hip skirt here allows you to get up to there, back to there, out to the side on a soft ratchet. Rotation at the thigh. This one's a little bit less of a range, but it does rotate there. Single jointed knee gets you 90 degrees on a ratchet. And then you get toe tilt on this one. Well, this one seems to bend a little bit further than the other one. It gets you a pretty good amount of movement here, up and down. All right, now let's take a look at down thrust. And he's pretty much the same mold and articulation. The head, obviously, different head sculpt there. You can see painted orange with the metallic blue eyes. The orange paint could have stand to have another coat on it. It's a little bit thin, so you can see the plastic kind of through. You have some metallic gray or silver paint on the arms. You have gunmetal on the waist here. And again, the guns don't seem to hold too well in these hands. That same yellow and red on the knees. Silver paint here on the inside, just like that one. And then some tampo detail throughout, which we'll see more in the jet mode. Next we have airstrike and down thrust. And these, I think it's F-15 and F-A-18 Hornet. I believe, I'm not a huge jet guy, but once again, some QC issues. You can take those same missile pods and attach them here. I didn't put them on here, but again, you get 4 spots. You can also take their guns and attach them on those 2 spots on the wings. You do have landing gear that fold up. This one's a little bit tricky. You have to kind of open up this piece and then you can fold that in. And then these are just really weird, but they fold in like that. So they're not very secure, but they do work. So you're better off just leaving the landing gear out. But the QC issue with this one, I mean, not very obvious, but right there, you can see that gap there. And just to show you, here's the other side. That one is supposed to fit flush, but you can see this panel right here is supposed to be flush with this black piece here. You come to this side, there's a huge gap. Well, because of that, it doesn't sit flush, and then this top part sits kind of weird. I thought maybe this was cracked or broken. Nope, it's just molded on an angle like that. And it took me a while to figure out. I kept taking it apart thinking maybe I've transformed it wrong. That's just literally molded on an angle like that. Very, very strange. There's also some other just little fitment issues with this guy. He does look nice. I do like the tampo printing kind of all over. It really does, no step and all that. I like that kind of stuff. But the QC issues really kind of hamper this. And then here's this one. This one is probably the least problematic. Again, you can take these guns, you can put them on the side here, you can put them on the 4 spots on the wings. So same thing there. This one, the tab, which is supposed to go in right here, won't go in. It's just too tight, or the tolerances are off, and so you can't push this in. So you end up with a little bit of sticking up here, unfortunately. And I pushed pretty hard. I don't want to break it, but it doesn't go in. So, but of all of the jets, this is the one with the least amount of QC issues. It actually looks pretty good in this mode. It is translucent, and you get the same thing with the landing gear. They fold up the same way. You also get the same thing with the cockpit opening up. I forgot to show that. So there are those two jets. Look nice, but unfortunately, a couple QC issues again. And finally, we have their version of Silverbolt, or they call him Silver Arrow. And he's probably the best looking of the entire set. There's the face sculpt there, silver with the blue eyes, metallic. That looks nice. Continue down, you do have a little bit of red paint here, a little bit of yellow here in the knees, and then some gray or silver paint here on the knee area. Here's the back. Pretty clean. I mean, in terms of paint, there's not a lot of paint, but the backpack is a little unsightly. And again, he does have, his gun actually combines with Superitron's gun. So this is actually the inner part, that's a little interesting, but again, he does have the same issue. They don't tend to hold it too well. As far as articulation wise, he's got a head on a ball joint. So you can go up to there, down to there, rotates all the way around, and you can get a little bit of side to side. Rotation on a ratchet all the way around, out to the side on this joint here. So you have two joints there, so you can get it way up if you need to. You have a rotation of the bicep. You have a double jointed elbow, gets you the full bend. A little bit on the ugly side because the first joint's up here. But you can't get it bent up there. You have a rotation at the wrist, and you have individually articulated fingers. It's done exactly the same way, so the inner one is pinned, but the outer ones are not pinned. So if you rotate them too much or just put a little too much pressure, they can pop off these joints here. And then the thumb is on a ball joint just like the rest. Continuing down, you have a rotation at the waist. We're going to leave that gun out. And yellow paint here, I forgot to mention some gold paint. That actually looks really nice. These hip skirts can move out of the way. The legs go up to there on a strong ratchet joint. Back to there on a ratchet. Out to the side on a ratchet. Pretty strong ratchets there. Rotation at the thigh. Really a nice range there on that thigh. Single jointed knee gets you 90 degrees. Tiny bit past 90 degrees. Oh, I guess it's the double joint. So you have a joint here, then you have a joint up there. But either way, you only get 90 degrees out of it. And then you have again, toe tilt. No, it's not an ankle tilt. You have a toe tilt here, and it goes forward and backwards. This, yeah, I believe this is die cast. This feels like die cast on the toe. It's probably the only die cast in the entire set is right there. So not a lot, other than that chest piece, which we're going to look at in combined mode. And you can get some good articulation out of him. And looks pretty good overall. All right, finally we have Silver Arrow, their version of Silverbolt. Pretty nice looking. It is obviously translucent. And again, a couple minor QC issues, but these wings, they just won't stay pegged in. They tend to pop out. You can see this one just won't stay fitted in. I've tried adjusting it, moving it around, making sure everything is flush and where it's supposed to be, but these wings just will not sit. So they end up kind of popping out and looking kind of ugly. But overall, it's still pretty good looking. You can do the old Concorde thing here and get the nose cone bended down. You do have nice paint for the windows there and for the tail fin. And then red paint here. And it's still got some tampos, the nose step, and a few other things. Here's the bottom. You have the landing gear. They do fold in on the back. And then this one folds into the front. You just have this spring-loaded piece here. So you can get it down inside. I don't love the spring-loaded gimmick, but it does work. So there you go for Silverbolt. Alright guys, now we're going to get this guy combined into the Superion mode. Here's everything that you need to combine it. The 2 feet, the 2 hands, the gun, the head. You can choose which head. I'm going to use the G1 head. And then obviously everything transformed into their combined modes. I didn't show the transformations on these, but you do want the arms with these joints pointed outwards. It's very similar to the Torwell constructor. And then you want these apart so you can put the hand piece in there. And then for the legs, you want them basically like a solid block like this, but everything kind of facing backwards on the jet mode. And then on the bottom, you want these to be opened up just so you can get the foot in there. So we'll show you how to do that. Just wanted to show kind of the overall configuration. And then here is Silver Arrow. He's just a nice block ready to be pushed into his chest. And that looks good. So let's get started on this, and we'll start off with the easiest thing, which is the gun. So you'll take, this is a Silver Arrow's gun, and it will be like this, but go ahead and fold this handle in, fold that in, and then we're going to combine that with this. So go ahead and open up this panel. It's tabbed in right there. And basically get this into here. And you can see this is going to come down and peg back in. Then open up his handle. And that's ready for Superion. We can set that aside. Right. Next we can take the hands. So you're going to want this one here. And you can see there's like basically 2 slots there. So get it slotted into there. And it is a nice tight fit, so you know it's going to hold. And go ahead and squeeze this together and get that in there. Make sure you get it right in between there, and then push this together. There are a bunch of tabs that have to go together. There we go. Nice and tight. And these wings, you can take them off. I'm going to leave them on for now. Later we'll show what they look like with them off. But to be, I guess, accurate, you would probably take them off, because in the show they didn't have these wings on there. All right, so that's one hand done. It's gonna end up sitting like that, so let's leave that there. Let's do the other one now. So go ahead and same thing. Take this. There we go. Nice and squozen. So go ahead and just, if anything went out of the way. Now just remember, this is a wrong side wing. That's why it looks odd. This is supposed to be a left wing and it's a right wing, but it still works, so you can leave it on there. But like I mentioned earlier, we'll take those off later. All right, then take the foot and make sure you have the right foot. So the way to check is it should angle towards the inside. So that's the wrong foot. That one's the right, that's the correct one. So we want his leg like this. So go ahead and take this. You can see there's 2 little tabs right there. And that's going to fit behind here. And basically, you're going to close up these panels. They're really tight, so make sure you have those open before you put the foot in. And then you're going to close both of these panels, the front and the back, around that. And it's going to be hard to show it once I get it in here, so that's why I'm showing it to you now. And then there's 2 sliders here and here. They're going to fit around the foot right there and there. So that's kind of how it fits together and kind of holds. First get this in here, then squeeze this around it and kind of hold right here. And now you're going to take these panels and close them up. If you need a spudger, you can, but it should just peg in. The back one's a little bit harder, so I do recommend, getting a spudger in there and get that panel folded upward. That one is a little bit trickier to move. There we go. And there we go. That one went in, and now that's locked in. So you can see that foot's nice and sturdy. Now in this particular copy, these joints don't appear to, they seem to pop out, but it's supposed to hold this all together. It just doesn't always stay in place. But there you go. That's what you should have when you're all done. And it should be relatively clean looking. All right, so now let's do the other foot. And we'll move this out of the way. All right, and this is exactly the same. So make sure you have the right foot, right? Something like that. All right, so we're pretty much ready. Only thing left is the chest piece. So go ahead and take out your torso. So if you haven't already, you do need to open this up. Now I opened it up on the live stream, so I guess I'll just show you. And it is a little scary, but so there are two little pegs right there, and you had to kind of get those pegged in. The first time I did it, it was kind of loud and scary. Yeah, there you go. There's the sound. Go ahead and open up these panels here all the way to the outside. Right, so those make up the sides. And then you can open up these panels. And it's pretty much ready for combination. Right. So now let's take silver bolt here. And you stand there for a second. And Silverbolt should be configured like this, basically totally square. He's going to slide in with this on the back. And let's see, do we have this right? I believe this is the right way. And you can tell because there's a little slot on both sides. And that's what's going to slide into this key right here. So get that in there. Let's see. Oh, make sure you flip out this head panel here. That's where the head's going to attach. All right, now slide that in. And it does have a nice mechanism. I like how that goes together. And get that pushed all the way in. And it should be nice and secure. Once you get that in, on the top here, there are two little translucent tabs. You're going to get this pushed down onto that. There we go. So pretty nice and secure. That feels pretty good. Obviously I've panned out here so you can kind of see how this is going to go together. But you can see there's a nice die cast piece right here. And we'll take this leg. And that is going to fit right into the back here. So go ahead and open up this panel here. You can see there's a little slot for this metal piece to go in. So get that tabbed in. There's also two little tabs. They're going to slide into these slots right here. So you just put it in there and then slide it forward. Right, and once you get that in, go ahead and close this panel back up. And then these are going to tab in to the side of the leg. So that all secures the leg pretty well. These are really tight, so almost scary tight. So just get those in there. All right, so now we got one leg done. Let me just get it balanced a little bit. Right, now we'll do this one exactly the same way. Go ahead and open up this panel here. Angle the feet just so he can stand up. And he's looking pretty good already. All right, next we're going to combine the arm. And here's the port for that. You do have to lift up this panel right here and rotate that out of the way. And that'll reveal the kind of slotted port. And make sure you have this slotted piece angled the right way. It's actually wrong right now, so I'm going to rotate it. And it is a very tight joint, but you can rotate it around so that you have the slot facing that way. And then you're going to slide this into here and then close that panel on the back of it so that it seals the arm in there. And so there's one arm. So let's get the other arm attached. Same thing on this side. Go ahead and open up this panel here. And then make sure you've got the slot facing forward as you're going to slide it. And slide it into there. Then close up that panel. And there you go. You've got the arms in there. And we'll forgot to rotate this hand this here. So right. And the last finishing touch here obviously going to be the head. And I did mention we're going to use the G1 head. So go ahead and just peg that into the top there. And there we have Superitron all combined up in his Superion mode. So there's that head sculpt. Looks really nice. Coming down on the body here. We are going to take a look at that alternate chest piece here, but this is what it looks like without that chest piece. And the arms. And then, like I mentioned before, if you don't like the look, you can just take off these wings. Me personally, I prefer it without the wings, but you're toy. You can display it how you like. Same on this side, you can take off these wings. And then moving downwards, you have the hip skirts here. And then the legs here. These panels never really attached, unfortunately, but that's how it works. It is pretty solid. Here's the feet, and that looks really nice. So overall, a really nice looking Superion. I think they did a good job with this guy. Let's just take a quick look at the back. Relatively clean. Oh, I guess I knocked this out. Relatively clean back. You know, not too much kibble considering what's going on here. And again, I do recommend taking off these wings from the arms because they're just kind of unsightly. It just looks a lot better without it. But there you go for the back. And for a quick look at the alternate toy head, and I guess this is the toy chest. There you go. I didn't actually stick it on. I'm going to let G. Tony do that. But that does look nice, although it does stand out on this figure because everything else is translucent, and obviously this die-cast piece is not translucent. But there is that look for you. Alright, now let's talk about his articulation. So the head is on a rotating swivel, so it goes really high up. It's a little strange that it goes that high up. And it rotates all the way around. The arms, if you move this panel out of the way, rotate around on this joint. It is a nice tight ratchet. You can hold it. Obviously you got to shift the weight because you're moving the weight of the figure forward, so you want to move the hips to match. But he can hold both arms up. You just have to balance him in order to do that. There you go. It is leaning forward a little bit, but that would be expected with any combiner. You can get his arms out to the side, up to there. You have a rotation at the bicep and a rotation at the elbow. You have a ratcheted elbow bend that gets you 90 degrees. The rotation at the wrist that's very tight, which is so tight I don't want to do it. You have a rotation in and out so you can get the dice roll of the hand. You have the individually articulated fingers, really nicely done. 1, 2, 3 joints on that, and I believe this is not pinned, but still nice and strong. You can feel those hands. While we have this hand open, might as well get the gun in there so we can take a look at that. And here is the Superion gun. Go ahead and get that. There's a tab right there. That's going to tab into his palm. There you go. But he holds it just fine. Really nice and sturdy. It's not going anywhere. And that just looks really good. Alright, continuing down, you have a rotation at the waist. Nice ratcheted tight joint there. And that works really well. You do have hip skirts here. The legs can rotate all the way up to there. All the way back. Out to the side, all the way up to there. Pretty far for a big guy like this. And I'm surprised he's not falling apart given all the movement I've been doing. Sorry if I blocked the camera. You have a 90-degree bend at the knee. Gets you up to there. And let's just straighten him out here. Continuing down to the feet, you do have an ankle tilt, a toe tilt, and no pivot this way, but you can get the toe tilt if you need it. And for a quick size comparison, there is Superitron next to the Toy World Constructor. Basically the same team that designed the Zeta combiners, but looks good together. So final thoughts on the Zeta Toys Crystal Superitron. Let's start with the positives. I think this combine mode looks really nice. Anybody that's looking for a combiner to stand on the shelf, this is going to be it. It really just looks pretty damn good. And overall, the aesthetic across the board, it does match up well with all the arm bots, the leg bots, and the torso. Also, another positive, it's got paint detail here and there. Even though it's a translucent figure, there are little accents here and there that make it stand out and make it look good, and I like that Zeta Toys did that. You also get plenty of accessories. You get alternate looks. You get that alternate head as well as the alternate chest. And you can change up the weapons, stuff like that. Negatives wise, the vehicle modes are the weakest part of this entire set. When we got them in vehicle modes, there were all sorts of QC issues, and there were lots of different problems getting them transformed. Transforming them is not fun. It really is a chore, and it really makes it you not want to have to ever do this again. I'm going to try to send this back to G Tony in this combined mode because I just don't think it's fun to transform. But once you get it here, it's really good. The robot mods are okay. The Silver Arrow is probably the best. Obviously, he's missing his Autobot logo. I'm not going to put that on there. I'm going to let G Tony do that, but he would look a lot better with that Autobot logo. So the negatives wise, I think that the robot modes could be better. They're not the best. The Silver Arrow is probably the best of all of the set, and the other four are okay. They're not great. But definitely a fun combiner. So if you're looking for a Superion for your set, right now they're actually re-releasing these in tuned colors by individual bots. I think they're $50 each. So you can check those out right now. That's really it for today. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.